So this was the most green presentation I have seen before. He just used one page. So really, congratulate you for that. So I'm the guy standing between you and coffee and cakes and everything else. So unless you laugh at my jokes, I'll just keep going on and on and on. So balancing strategic and financial returns. If you're a financial VC, life is very simple. All you need to do is make more money. You invest it at X, you want to make 3X, 4X, 5X. Simple. There's not much complexity there. If you're a corporate venture capitalist, it's a lot more complex than that. How you define success is one of the most difficult and at the same time one of the most important issues for a corporate venture capitalist. Do you invest in stuff which is core to you, or do you invest in stuff which is new and further away? Do you invest in new technologies, enabling technologies, or do you invest in new businesses? Do you invest for strategic purpose, or do you invest for financial reason? And as life has it, these answers change every few years, as some of our corporate venture colleagues will tell you. It depends upon how the fund has done. It depends upon the company's strategy. It depends upon, did you have a new CEO or a new manager? So these things keep changing, and hence the pendulum up there. So companies have gone from strategic to financial to strategic to financial, and if you see GE, if you see Intel, if you see a whole, Siemens, a whole range of companies who have been around for a while, their missions over time have changed. So the question is, what do you focus on? Do you focus on strategic or do you focus on financial? And I answer that with a sort of a small story. In the US, you have a religious group called Sisters of Mercy. These are nuns, they're very dedicated, and they run a whole chain of hospitals called, they call the Mercy Health System. And one day, the Mother Superior, who's the head of the Mercy system, was asked, if you are a charitable organization and if you call yourself Sisters of Mercy, why do you charge for your hospital services? Why do you make a profit? And the answer simply was, no profits, no mercy. Right? So in our regard, it is no financial return, no strategic return. So we have no choice whether you like it or not. We have to drive for financial return. Right? And one of the things which you can take comfort is no CEO is going to fire you because you made that person too much money. So one of the things, as Jan mentioned, I founded and I ran ABB Technology Ventures for about 7-8 years, founded that in 2009, and now I'm at Total. And corporate venture groups typically like to come in early for a whole range of reasons. Early access, easy access to emerging technology, lower upfront cost, large upside, etc. But as we have learned over the years, particularly in the B2B business, except in certain instances like batteries and storage, etc., it's not the technology risk that gets you. What gets you really is the market risk. Traction is the single biggest problem. As we like to say, it takes 20 years to be an overnight success. So the problem with early stage companies is it's just too long. I think we've all suffered from the drip and drip and drip of capital, etc. And the reality is, people from the corporate venture group don't particularly have the skill base which is required by early stage companies to guide them and to take them to the next level. If you really haven't been an entrepreneur, if you haven't had companies, if you haven't done this, there's not very much you're really bringing to the table. So what are we going to do going forward as Total? First and foremost, in our sectors, unlike the B2C sector where you function on FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. You worry, am I missing out on the next Google? Am I missing out on the next Airbnb? Am I missing out on the next Uber or whatever? We really don't have that many, if any, unicorns or multi-billion-dollar companies in the space we invest in. So for us, it's not the fear of FOMO. It's really the fear of losing money. So we want to have a much more defensive strategy and much more, focus on areas. I want to focus on not losing money. So you would say it's sort of a low beta strategy, if you will. Okay? And so what we would like to see is companies which actually have traction. And one of the issues which we are facing today, particularly in the digital side, the cost of entry is so low today that whether you looked at predictive maintenance, whether you looked at all kinds of digital stuff, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies. You look at drones, you look at cybersecurity, you look at AI, you look at any of these things. I get literally one company a week in predictive maintenance. And that the market just is not capable of. And everybody has great technology, by the way. But technology is not the issue. The issue is traction. And so what we have decided is show us traction. Don't show us pilots. Show us real paying customers. Show us you can sell. Show us there's a market for it. And show us you're growing. Then we can talk. And so our focus going forward is clearly going to be focusing on stuff which has been de-risked from a market perspective. Now, these are, again, not hard and fast rules. This is our preference. I'm sure we will occasionally see companies which are early stage and we are very exciting and we'd be happy to invest. Now, you'd say, what about innovation? Shouldn't you be also looking at innovation? And so to do that, what we are planning on doing is what I refer to as a barbell strategy. So whereas the majority of the investments will be on later stage investments, we will also allocate a certain amount of funds to very early stage, seed stage companies and sprinkle 50,000, 100,000, 10,000, depending upon the stage. But these companies have to be truly, truly early and truly, truly disruptive and bring something really unique to the table. And so if here we sort of say if companies don't do well, on a per company basis, our exposure is much more limited. On a portfolio basis, it certainly will be larger, but that's our strategy. Now, this is still a work in progress, and I'd be more than delighted to have people come and talk to us and educate us. My specialty is asking dumb questions, and so if people have thoughts, ideas, suggestions on how to improve this, make this work, we'd love to hear you guys. If you want to join us, we'd love to chat about that as well. And so what we intend to do is sort of create a very streamlined investment template, because if we're going to do this over a number of companies, we need to be a lot more efficient in doing it from a seed stage investing perspective. A streamlined approval process. Corporate venture groups are not known for their speedy and streamlined approval processes. For something like this, we hope to do that. Standard documentation. As some of you know, there is a concept called SAFE, Simple Agreement for Future Equity, which Y Combinator introduced. So whether it's that or whether it's convertible debt or any of those things, we'd be happy to explore that. One of the things we need to think through is, do we just become a seed investor and then just stay there and then not participate in future? Or do we sort of decide on a case-by-case basis? And if so, how do we ensure we avoid a dilution? So these are all issues we're still thinking through. So that's all I have to say. I'm happy to talk to any of the companies or corporates or venture capitalists after this. This is one of the great advantages of being at an event like this, is you hear lots of new ideas, meet lots of new people. So thank you for the opportunity.